Okay, all right. Hey, but everybody quiet it down. That's awesome. That's it. Does he have a microphone? Well, welcome to our first quarterly Annapolis Tech Breakfast. Woo! Thank you. Awesome. This is a great crowd. It looks like we're going to hopefully get this room full here, which is great. We had the folks here were sweating when they saw the 80 register. I'm like, oh, it'll be like 70% of that, so don't worry too much. So, looks like we're kind of getting there. It's just good. There's 62 chairs in the room. We're doing some math on this. So, how many of you are here at Tech Breakfast for the very, very first time? Newbies, welcome, welcome to Tech Breakfast. You can hopefully have a lot of fun. This is our showcase of cool, innovative tech happening in the tech region, and people have said there's a lot of cool tech happening in Annapolis. I'm like, I'm game if we can find a place to run this thing and we can get coffee. I think that's pretty much two of the three most important things, right? Good content, good coffee, and then just people. So basically the way Tech Breakfast works is that we are sort of a demo show and tell style format. We'll have 5 really cool companies and folks showing off their cool tech. They have 7 minutes to do their demos, and then we have Q&A from the whole crowd here. And between each two, we'll do what's called shout-outs, which are opportunities for those of you in the audience who are hiring or who have events that they want to invite the community to. This is like our community bulletin board. You can sort of get the word out and share the community. And for those of you that don't know, Tech Breakfast started in Baltimore, not too far away. We're just 10 people sitting around a room saying, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And of course, we meant demos. And that format worked out really well. We found there's a lot of people with a lot of great technology to share, and we just weren't having an opportunity to meet our peers. And that format started just 10 people, then 20, then 40, then 100. The next thing you know, we got too big, and then we were 1,000. And then they said, hey, let's do another one of these in Columbia, and then DC, and then Northern Virginia. And next thing you know, Tech Breakfast is like a thing, and I had to rethink about the fact of whether I was going to run my software startup, which was the whole excuse for doing this whole thing. And so now basically we're doing Tech Breakfast all over the country, and there's Tech Breakfast in Boston and New York and Philadelphia and Austin, Texas. Speaking of which, there's something special going on in Austin if you guys want to join us in March, and in Palo Alto as well. So we're in Silicon Valley. And basically the whole idea is to create for you, to help create a community of folks throughout the country who are sort of in this stage of creation and ideation with technology, a sort of a supportive environment to share with each other. So, supportive environment, it's not a Shark Tank, so you're all welcome to ask questions and interact with other presenters. So first, I want to thank the folks who have helped make this happen, because trust me, we could not have made this happen with some key folks here. So first, Owen, welcome us to the space here. We're in the fabulous Merrill Lynch space, so if you want to say a few words about that.
Thank you. This is just like school. No one wants to sit up front. Last night I was sweating chairs. I could not. There's people going to come into their offices today. They're like, what happened to my furniture? Did I get fired? Anyway, it's one of those things.
Today's the day for standing desks, so
yeah. Yes. A couple things. One, we do thank you for coming today. We're sorry about the parking down in the garage. I know it's probably a little tricky down there. Before you depart today, we'll give you validation so you can get out of jail free. Okay, so we're going to get those out front. Just a couple things about our firm and our office. Little old Annapolis, kind of like a stepchild of Baltimore or Washington. Here at Merrill Lynch, we have $4.5 billion under management in this office alone. 600 years of industry experience amongst our advisors. But probably the deepest bench of qualified personnel to help you with all aspects of your finances. If you have a need or you question what you're doing right now, I would encourage you to give me a call. We will sit down with you, interview you, talk about your goals, objectives, where you are in the accumulation phase of wealth, and we'll try and figure out our best team members to come and provide our solutions to you and hopefully make life better. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And we also have the great support of the Annapolis Economic Development Corporation, and that food spread is all you, so thank you very much.
I wish I could take credit for the food spread. Special thanks to Weston across the hall, and for Sonia G. Domenico in my office who put that together. Give Sonia a big round of applause. Economic development doesn't get done in a vacuum. We have some amazing partners. I'd like to thank Ryan Sears from Launch Annapolis. Everyone say hi to Ryan. February 20th, he's got a special event coming up. He'll tell you more about that later. Wes McQuillan from Anne Arundel Economic Development. Everyone say, hey, Wes. Last but not least, our friends at the Chesapeake Regional Tech Council, Gretchen Snow and Lindsay. I forgot your last name. Please say hi to our seats, I left you a folder of fabulous information about the Annapolis Economic Development Corporation. We have a couple awesome programs coming up. Everyone has talked about how sometimes you may not be bankable, but you might be credit worthy. How do I really get a loan? That program's coming up on February 7th at the Westin, right across the street. March 20th, we're really excited to have Ron's first investor in his company, Brad Feld, is going to be speaking. He's joining us via webcast from Boulder, Colorado, to talk about startup communities and how to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem in your city. So that's a special event. It'll be held at the Lowe's. Please register early and often. Invite friends. We're really excited to have Brad Feld join us for the evening. Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing Tech Breakfast to Annapolis.
Awesome, thank you. We'll be here once a quarter until you guys kick us out. So, so we have a couple other folks that help make this happen. We'll get the show on the road here. So we have the great support of folks from AuthentikTime, who are fabulous law firms, and they've been coming to Tech Breakfast forever. So do you want to say something, John, about Authent?
I'm John Wax with AuthentikTime, frequent visitor, first-time sponsor. And AuthentikTime is one of the fastest growing law firms in the Mid-Atlantic. 12 years ago, we were 10 lawyers. Now we are 105 lawyers in 7 offices throughout Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. We represent companies and individuals in corporate law, intellectual property, financing, employment, estate planning, asset protection, and other areas. We also have a service offering where we provide outsourced legal departments with a free diagnostic evaluation and complimentary action plan. So if you're interested, please come see me.
Awesome, great job. And last but not least, Michael Ryan from South River Tech is around here somewhere. Is he? Jan. Oh, and Jan Shaheen. Yes, please come on up. I saw you in the back. Jean, please come up and talk to us about Bank of America.
Great. Well, in your handout is a little flyer. I'm Jan Sheehan. I'm a senior client manager with Bank of America's business banking unit. And we deal with companies anywhere from 5 to 50 million, but we also have a small business banking unit that deals with companies up to 5 million. And we have a team of financial advisors, including Merrill Lynch, that comes in, finds out exactly what your business needs are. We implement a plan, and then we execute it flawlessly. Most of the time. So anyway, that's our goal. And I've been in banking since 1979 and in Anne Arundel County since 1970. So please give me a call. My contact information is on the brochure if you need anything.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I know if Michael shows up, we'll give him an opportunity to shout out. And of course, we give a big thank you to the folks from Comcast Business because they want your business. That's the best shout out I can give you for anybody. So, all right. Let's get things started. Marc, you're up first. Identity Checkpoint. And
good morning. I'm Marc George, and I'm looking for one volunteer in the audience who is connected to the internet with their cell phone or something. Somebody? No? Nobody's connected.
Joe Jansen.
Back and back.
A BlackBerry cell phone.
Cell phone? Can you go a browser? Can you do that? Actually, I sailed into Annapolis in 1994. I opened offices in Eastport, and originally I created almost all the websites for the marine industry in this whole Bay Area. I've gone on beyond that, long ways. I created IdentityCheckpoint, and part of this whole process of IdentityCheckpoint is that I woke up after years of doing security audits on companies like CareFirst and Aetna, and creating architectures for the federal government, and I'm the chief architect of the system that processes all the security clearances for the United States. So I have had to design security architectures, and I woke up in the morning, and what happened in that morning was that excuse me. And I woke up in the morning and I said, you know, the whole problem with identity today is that we don't participate. we let everybody else say, yeah, go ahead and process this transaction. Yeah, go ahead and let this person use his user IDs and passwords and get into this system. We do not participate. So from that moment on, I sat down and started writing a patent. And I've gone on to create a prototype, which you're going to see today. And at the bottom of here, because there's sort of an iffy thing to this thing, because when I get it all implemented, you really won't see it. I don't really need a website to do this, but to do a presentation like this, I need a website. So from a standpoint of this whole thing, okay, I created a couple little web pages here, okay. And the first thing is the #1 article in our lives, our identifier, is our Social Security number, okay. We want to have a Social Security number that's secure. So I created this application, and let me go here. And so, well, let me reverse this. Okay, so here's this application here, and down in here,
You reversed.
yeah, I didn't reverse it, but that's okay. Did it reverse?
No.
Okay, that's it. Because don't have it. And the other shows I've had somebody else holding this here. Today I'm not. So I created this app called Sentry. Now Sentry is loading up, and Sentry is a very simple application. Okay, here. Okay. And what's going to happen? No, you don't have to. Okay. So. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second here, and I'm going to put in, who am I? Okay? So I need a keyboard. And because Jan's working with me today.
Well, actually, I left my cell phone in my car, so this person here been gracious enough to step in.
That's okay.
We'll pretend it's the Bank of America.
Okay. And so, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open an account. And this is the whole thing. So somebody's standing in a bank office and wants to open an account. So and I'm going to send a notification. And what's going to happen during this period of time is I sent this notification, and come on. And since I don't have cell phone communications, this may not work. I'm sorry. How many bars do I have? Looks like I have enough.
Who's getting the call?
We haven't. Okay. I'm sorry. And I don't want to waste your time. What will happen is that on your iPhone would pop up a statement that the Bank of America would want to open an account using your Social Security number. Do you approve? Do you not approve this action? Okay. So that would be the result. And given that result, you could apply that to a lot of other areas, okay? The areas that you could apply it to is a credit card transaction, okay? The whole purpose and what I was trying to get Jan to do was she was going to enter a credit card number, put an amount, put a payee in, have it come up on here, and it would then take that information, okay, and you would say yes, no. As simple as that. Are you the one performing this transaction? In a day-to-day action of our lives, we probably don't use our identity or our financial instruments more than probably a dozen times a day. You're talking about 5 to 10 seconds per day. So basically, that's the whole purpose of this thing. It comes to you. You're the final authority in your identity. Okay?
Good job. Now he's has presented. I'll vouch for the fact that he's presented another at the Bolton Tech Talk, so it's working. So I guess we have a cell phone reception issue, but it's a really good idea. Just to if I can like summarize for you, basically the phone is like your two-factor authorization. So
it is your two-factor.
Whenever there's an attempt to charge your card, or whenever there's an attempt to like use your social security number, you have to actually approve it on your phone. Otherwise, the transaction doesn't get processed. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so maybe you could talk a little bit about how are you intercepting the credit card authorization so you can get in between the point of sale and the authorization for that to work?
Okay. The way it will work is that at the point of the credit card processor, okay, we'll have them split their card processing so that when they go out to the Bank of America to get the authority to process that dollar amount, simultaneously they're coming to us, coming to you, okay? And that transaction, when it comes back to the card processor or to the automated clearinghouse for checks, because this includes checks, that you will get that notification. You say yes. When you get 2 positives, yes, that transaction goes through. Okay. If we're going to automate part of this, okay. If you're standing in Best Buy, okay, and I know that you're at Best Buy out here out here on General's Highway, and I know you're there. I can automate that because of your location and your cell phone telling me that you're at that Best Buy with your cell phone. Okay. You can also pre-authorize. I'm standing in line, okay, and yes, for the next 5 minutes, in 5 minutes, I plan to use this particular card, okay, or I'm scheduling a payment to BG&E, okay, and it's for this amount, or I'm writing a check to pay Bell Atlantic, well, no, AT&T, and therefore, this check is going to be approved. Otherwise, it's not approved. It's always you saying, making the final authority. If you're logging into a system, okay, you're using your user ID, and it comes back to you and says, are you the one really logging into this system? If you call to change your account someplace, and they always ask you for your social security number, somebody can steal that, but they're going to go into this screen that you just sort of saw here, and that screen will allow them to then beep your phone and say, are you the one who's really making the change of the delivery address for your tax return?
Yeah, I'd like to ask
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
So I've actually had that happen to me. So I can't file my taxes electronically anymore because someone else is filing with my social security number. And I've contacted all the offices and everything. How do you plan to implement this, and who's your customer?
Okay.
How does a consumer interact with it?
Who's my customer? Mm-hmm. My customer is going to be Visa, MasterCard, the federal government, businesses who want to utilize the service. It's going to be an open platform that they can write to. Okay, it's a very large project that I'm involved with. I'm building 17 data centers around the world to accomplish this because I need to process about 10 million transactions per second to accommodate all this. Okay, it'll be a ramped deployment. Some of the people who are on my team is a gentleman by the name of John Tholen, who was the global head of operations for Visa. He was the first person I went to, and he said yes. Okay?
Yep.
Back
there?
Sounds great. You're going to build out all these data centers. How are you going to raise them? How are you going to get the money?
Yeah, where's that capital
coming? What
coming?
amount of funds are you going to need to do this?
I got my fingers crossed. Actually, I'm in negotiations with one of the major firms in the world who has a clean reputation, because I don't want you to feel like I'm giving over control of all this to Google. or some other company that has issues.
This may be an opportune moment for you to mention your patent.
Yes. There's a patent pending
Yeah.
that is pretty conclusive to this whole thing. And in fact, I spent the last 2 days on USPTO making sure that there weren't other patents that I need to be maybe paying patent fees for. Okay?
Go there.
So.
Yep, over there. Question first.
Just a functional question. I'm in line at the Best Buy, and I've got no cell signal. I know that never happens.
Case in point. Right?
What happens?
Well, what will happen is that you'll come out to our service. We won't have what's called a push notification signal for your device at the moment. It'll go back to the processor. We'll give them that indication. They'll ask you for a PIN at that terminal.
And Best Buy will sell you the
Good, Reza,
Marc, what is your business? What is your business model? How are you going to make money, and how are you going to convince those people to invest in your company?
Well, I think everybody probably understands that for every transaction that goes down, there's a transaction fee that's incurred off of the credit card charges. I'll be part of that fee structure. Okay. And I'll be being paid by Visa, MasterCard, American Express. The same thing will happen with the federal government and the banking networks, and I'll be part of that whole scheme. So that would be part of it. Second part of it is if it's user logins and you're going to go sign in at Verizon, okay, and they want to make sure you're the person, then we'll be charging them for use of that facility to them. We're talking very fractional. I'm talking about fractions of a cent, but I'm doing 10 million transactions per second. So it turns into big money.
Well, I definitely know that a lot of the credit card companies are sort of rethinking things after Target, right? And you probably heard about now finally a lot of the American carriers are thinking about putting the chip inside the card and doing it the way the Canadians and the Europeans are doing it. So so this is probably a good timing to have this conversation about the two-factor authorization. So have you approached some of the big retailers at point of sale? This might be a good time to talk to Target, folks like that.
The organization that I'm having conversations with, they are part of the plan in front of them is that they will be building a consortium of all the major businesses, okay, to back what I'm doing. My backing is basically going to be two-part from them and then from this consortium. This consortium includes Walmart, Target, that they're planning on putting together. So,
okay, good luck.
And I will know more about the end result of this by the end of the day, and then I can really say
okay, we'll update on we'll update on the meetup. You raised okay, Matt, you're up.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I'm Matthew Eierman. I'm the CEO and founder of an Anne Arundel County-based business, HD Scores, founded about 2 years ago. As you can tell by my background and my clothes, I'm a chef by training. Johnson Wells graduate, worked at Rockfish under the original owners here, over in Eastport, a number of places throughout the county when I was younger. But foodborne illness is a huge issue. We're taking the publicly available government data of health department inspection scores across the US, Canada, and UK and putting it into an easy to read and search format. Because every jurisdiction didn't get together and say, we're all going to use the same format. That would be too simple. So essentially, every system, every county, every jurisdiction has their own policies, procedures, and established laws. So the chart that you see right here is where we have actually aggregated all the data currently, which is about 600,000 establishments, roughly 40% of the 1.5 million jurisdictions that we have data access to, which gives us about 8.1 million line item violations, about 3 million inspection reports, and that's 135 million people within those jurisdictions that we have data for. So now on to the demo. All right, well, let's check if I can work with that. So basically what I was going to show you is, basically we've built a consumer-facing application that allows the average consumer to go through and look at inspection data. So we've geolocated all of the data, so all the line item violations for every establishment. So if you're downtown, you're out on business travel, you're moving around the country, or you just want to know what your favorite establishments, how clean or dirty they are, we can tell you in an easy to read and understand format. Not stand directly in the light. So essentially, we've solved the data aggregation, standardization, and normalization related issues of bringing all this data together. Now, how do we make money with this, and why do you care about that? So, one, we're not charging consumers anything. Consumers hate paying for public health. It's generally governments or nonprofits, institutions do that. So it's free for consumers. So you download the app. It's going to be for iOS, Android, and Windows 8. Should be coming out this spring. Is the plan. So this was an app preview. With that, essentially, you can see your favorites. You can favorite your establishments. You can see recent establishments. We'll even have some featured establishments, that have great sanitation scores, but also are doing some awesome things from around the country. And our data aggregation is growing on a daily basis. So, and that's all automated. We have bots that do that, so it's a very efficient process. And we can work with a jurisdiction that deals with paper-only jurisdictions to the most advanced data format that's out there, which is more like the Java system at this point. So we can work with all that, and we don't ask the government to do anything different, because there are some competitors in the space. Yelp being the largest one in the room, we're already 12 times larger than their database, and we're not asking the government to make changes to their system, because government doesn't change very quickly. So it helps us grow and things of that nature. Now, why do you care? Of every food dollar spent in this country, 47 cents is spent in restaurants. Now, 56% of all foodborne illnesses happen in restaurant, schools, and hospitals. So we have data for restaurant, schools, and hospitals as well. Because any commercial kitchen that gets established, every commercial kitchen that serves food to the public gets inspected a minimum of 1 time a year. Depending on the risk factors, up to 4 times a year. So we get all that data in near real time, usually less than 24 hours. So we know when the inspection happened. We're aggregating that data, and we're pushing it out to the consumers in almost essentially near real time. So we can take that real-time data and let you know how clean these establishments that you've eaten in are, so you can make better decisions. And in jurisdictions that have rolled this system out, or similar systems out, essentially they increase transparency, which increase consumer confidence, which people eat out more because they believe the restaurants are cleaner, which promotes economic development because restaurants make more money, and also if there's taxes raised, so that's economic development, cuts foodborne illness and medical related costs, and that's my time.
There you go.
I can go on for this for hours.
Not bad, filling the time with the demo. Good job on that. So. The app is here, so I guess you're going to have to do a little actual show and tell, hand around your phone, and then you can. Sure. Or actually, is your app downloadable right now?
Not currently, but okay. We're working on having something that's previewable.
Okay, great. You had a question back there somewhere. Yes.
Are you going to have a score?
So,
see, or are you going to have a detail?
So you get. Right now, we are currently showing the actual inspection violations, and it's just put into a consumable format. We are developing an HD score, which is a 100-point scoring system, so 0 being bad, 100 being good, that is standardized across the country or around the world. Essentially, we have found a way to standardize on the likelihood of getting a foodborne illness. So a box on the floor doesn't have the likelihood of spreading a foodborne illness, but there's some violations that will, pests, improper food storage and handling. So we can actually standardize that into a 100-point score system. So DC, Annapolis, Omaha, Nebraska, and New York City will all fit onto that 100-point scale, which is all the same across the country.
Any questions yet?
Great idea, I love it. Why did you say TripAdvisor was a competitor? Why wouldn't you sell this data to TripAdvisor? Because they don't, or TripAdvisor or Yelp.
Didn't mention, so Yelp is a competitor since they have launched a competing product.
Oh,
they have a live standard, the live standard. It was launched in January last year. They're only in 4 cities, or 5 cities now, and they have less than 50,000 establishments. We have 600,000 establishments in 128 jurisdictions.
It just seems like it would be a much easier launch to market if we were to sell to the companies.
We have an API, and that is a future goal. So we have no problem with TripAdvisors, and we've actually had some international interest from international travel, so people coming from Russia and Europe coming over here, they want access to that data because if they're 12 to 18 hours away from home, they don't necessarily want to get sick.
Follow up or good? Good. Any other questions, comments? So, yes.
Who are you charging? So you're not charging the consumer.
So
who are you charging?
The question is, who are we charging? So consumers free. We have business to business and government, and then we've identified a whole bunch of other models, but those are the 2 we're focusing on. So imagine you're a pest control operator, and you want to know which restaurants have bugs in them. We have that data in near real time, usually less than 24 hours after the inspection happens. It varies jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So that's a actionable sales lead or sales prospect for a service provider. And they're being charged. We also have submitted $2 million plus RFPs, both in Canada, and we've had some interest in the US from jurisdictions to modernize and digitize their health departments without requiring them to do anything different during the inspection process. So we've had government parties interested, and we've had B2B parties interested. Our B2B offering is in beta, and we're handling RFPs as they come through.
Very good. Did you have one question over here? Or?
Oh, there's 2.
Oh, okay, yes?
Yeah, I heard you mention the FDA, but I'm wondering a role or any kind of collaboration you have with CDC as far as development aspects or providing them information.
So do we work with any federal agencies, or do we basically go through? So we've shared actually food safety data with 4 academic institutions here just recently. So Johns Hopkins and NC State, Rutgers, and University of Minnesota for academic research. We're very much in touch with HHS, which they're kind of the lead player in the food safety space. We've been recognized by them. And also FDA and CDC are more on the Department of Agriculture are more on the processing side. They leave the state level. So USDA sets food code for all states. And then the states interpret that food code. So essentially, it's the state and local jurisdictions that we deal with on a main basis.
Okay. All right.
I have the same question as
Same question. Okay, good. All right, well, good job. Good job. Happens, live demo event. It's called the demo effect. It happens. So, but I saw the app, so that's good. I think you may, I think your phone actually has the.
Well, it's a 4-year-old iPhone.
There you go. So. I think we may have broken that connector. So, okay, great. So while Steve is getting himself set up, he's got a bunch of pieces to us. Then we're going to do the first shout-outs. So this first shout-out goes to, I know if Michael Ryan's around, wants to shout-out on South River Technology. You can do that wherever you are. Oh, I thought I saw him over there. If not, let's start with this is a job shout out. So is anybody hiring? Anybody here hiring wants to? Okay, Ann, you're up.
Hi, and I'll do the same, Greg. We are looking for programmers. So if you know of anybody who has skills in Python, MongoDB, that type of stuff, very high-end programming skills.
All right, cool. Anybody else hiring? No? No? Anybody else looking for a job? This is your 30-second LinkedIn profile opportunity here. Stand up, your in-person LinkedIn. Wow, you're all gainfully employed and not looking to grow. So like on the one side, that's good, you're all employed. On the other side, you're not hiring. So have a balance. We should get people hired. Okay, so let's do our event shout-out. So who's got some events going on? Got anything going on, CRTC?
Absolutely. We
Of
always
course.
have events
Let's
going
shout it
on.
out.
We have our bowling mixer coming up on the 18th of February up in Baltimore at Mustang Alleys. That's a fun, great kind of laid-back networking environment. We also have our Tech Awards on March 26th. We have closed nominations, but it's a great opportunity. We have about 450 attendees, tech professionals, so come out and have fun.
Bowling and awards, that's good. And maybe there'll be awards for best bowler? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, we do. We give away a free ticket to, I think it's the president, no, Barbecue on the Bay.
There you go. There you go. I know it's hard to think of it at this point, but there will be summer. And there will be barbecue. Okay, Steve, how you doing?
Great.
Okay, good. Let's cross our fingers. Let's get see if the demo works. Okay. Well, we'll do another round of shout-outs after the next two. So
I'll be asking for a volunteer too, hopefully at some point.
Okay. Okay, good to go?
Yes. Good morning. For my presentation, on your chairs, there would be two pieces of literature. One that says CVI, Clearview Innovations Situate. And I think all except on the two seats with the two ladies over here, there's another frac card which I can get for you, which is...
They're here.
Oh, okay, good. It says CIRS on the left side, on the right side, same logo as here. And I'll explain the difference in a moment. Okay. So again, good morning. My name's Steve Frank. I'm from the Hearing and Speech Agency in Baltimore, Maryland, in Northwest Baltimore, near Reisterstown Road Plaza. I have two positions that I'll talk about today, but I'm going to focus on the first one, which has to do with Hearing and Speech Agency, HASA, and CIRS interpreting. There, I am the director of the Video Remote Interpreting Program, which I'll show you today. And then my other position is I have a business myself called Clearview Innovations, which is the smaller card. And we develop specialized mounts and stands for mobile devices. And that business, my own business, supports the business for CIRS interpreting, because I'll show you that in order to have good video remote interpreting or any good use of video, you have to be able to precisely position and place the device where you want to do that, and that's what the Clearview Innovations does. I have hopefully two positive claims to fame for Annapolis. One is Judge Eugene Lerner, if anybody knows, the circuit court judge here for many years. He was an attorney, and at one time back in the 60s or 70s, I think he ran for mayor. Does anybody know Eugene at all? No? Oh my goodness, I'm surprised. Okay, usually thought more people knew him. Then maybe the second one, maybe I'll get a better hit. Miss Shirley's restaurant? Okay. Well, anyway, Eugene, I mentioned, Eugene's my uncle. And then Miss Shirley's my cousin, unfortunately, the late Eddie Dobkin founded Miss Shirley's. He's my cousin. And his son, David, is now taking over the restaurant. I hope you've all had a chance to go there at some point. I know it's not too far. And I have to check with Matthew to see how the cleanliness is doing there. I spoke to David, my cousin, in Baltimore the other day, and he said they got 2 perfect inspections in Baltimore. So, also, if you can remind me at the end, I have one, since this is a tech breakfast, I have one computer joke at the end. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and give you a demonstration of the video remote interpreting. And what the point is to be able to immediately converse with somebody who doesn't speak English, whether they be deaf, using American Sign Language, or a speaker of another language. And in business today, everything is about immediate, and it's a natural application of video conferencing to be able to have interpretation. So you want to be able to immediately take care of things, and it helps that person who comes into your establishment to be able to immediately, to right away be able to take care of the business at hand, and we believe it would help your establishment because it doesn't break the flow of your business, whether it be a medical facility or a bank or other type of institution. If somebody comes in and there's difficulty communicating, then that's going to throw things off a bit. So this would be a way that you'd be able to smoothly continue. Okay. All right. Here there's an app that you would get, and right here on top it says ASL. We don't have a microphone, so.
Calling the Hearing and Speech Agency. A sign language interpreter will be with you shortly.
And I'll move it to show you when we just connect with that. Okay.
Good morning. Thanks for HASA VRI.
So this is a live interpreter who's on video.
Take it up there.
No, I'm not able to get up there. This is a live interpreter in Baltimore who's on video. Her name is Barbara, and she's a sign language interpreter. So what we would do in a situation if, say, Ron was at a business and I walked in, he would first, Barbara would come on and he would say, "Hi, I have a deaf person who just walked in," and then I would direct the camera to myself, and I'd say,
"Hello, I need some help right now. Can you help me? I need to borrow some money. Can you help me?"
No, I don't know if that's familiar to anybody. Great. So anyway, that's a demonstration of the sign language interpreting, video remote interpreting. So thank you, Barb.
Could you stand during the questions and answers?
Thank you.
Sure. If anybody have any questions or questions to Barb?
We want to ask you questions to the live video interpreter.
Oh, actually, let me make her look a little bigger there. That'll help. See everybody here better.
So this is at your speech interpreter.
Yeah, this is at our agency in Baltimore, the Hearing and Speech Agency in Northwest Baltimore.
If we ask a question, she's going to sign it back to you, and you're going to say.
Well, it would be as if you're right. It's as if you're asking me, and I'm a deaf presenter. So sure, you can do that if you'd like to do it that way.
Do you have any money for him to borrow?
I need money from you.
This conversation's over.
I didn't hear that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the business model?
All right, thank you. All right, thanks, Barb. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
I'll talk about the business model. Also, I wanted to mention that this service is our own interpreters interpret the sign language. That's what we specialize in Baltimore. And if it's overnight or on weekends, there's another company we work with that also handles the call. So it's 24 hours a day. The next thing is that we also do foreign language interpreting, audio only. So we use the same device, and it would be up to about 175 different languages. And we work with a company who provides that. I don't know if any of you have heard like Language Line or other companies that provide telephonic interpreting. The business model is that as an interpreting agency in Baltimore for about 25 years, we have built up a customer base of about 2,000 companies. About 300 of them are pretty regular. So we've approached them to say, we can get an interpreter to you quicker than usual, particularly hospitals and facilities where there's emergency needs, whether it be for police department or so on. So they're some of our customers. So basically, the goal of the program for our agency was to keep up with the times, to keep up with the competition, provide a better, quicker service where interpreters aren't available, and also to preserve our customer base of interpreters, a customer base of clients.
Do you want to talk about pricing?
The pricing is that we've been able to set it up so that there's a very small yearly registration, $60 for the year, to get a unique 10-digit number. It's not a phone number, just a unique 10-digit number. And then everything beyond that is per usage. And for sign language, it's $3 a minute. And for foreign language, it's $1.35 a minute. And in cases of a lot of medical facilities in particular are using it as a way to save money. It can save money, but we don't focus on that. It's really, we want to focus on what VRI, or video remote interpreting, can provide that on-site interpreting can't provide. Is instant. You can also have regular interpreters if you're taking a class at a college. Sometimes colleges in the West, Northwest don't have enough interpreters, so they hire us to interpret for a 50-minute class, say 3 times a week. And what's nice, even if they did have a local interpreter, probably that local interpreter wouldn't be able to be there 3 times a week at that exact time. So we're able to provide an interpreter, and it's the same interpreter who's throughout that class.
Okay, so yeah.
How predictable is your incoming call volume that you can staff, 24-hour service and know how many interpreters you'll need?
Sure. The question was about how predictable is the incoming call volume so we can staff the interpreters we need. We're just beginning our 2nd year, so the volume is not so high that we're not going over the amount of interpreters we have. We have 2 interpreters a day plus myself. We're just completing basically our setup year. So even when the interpreters are there and they're not actually on calls, we're still developing the system and all. So right now, that hasn't been an issue because we're still building up the volume. The company that we work with nationwide, besides handling our calls, they handle about 60,000 phone calls a day for something else called video relay service, which is the free service that's provided for a deaf person and a hearing person if they're in 2 separate locations, and that's a free service through the FCC and all of our money. So the difference between, and I'm glad you brought up, the difference between video relay service and video remote interpreting is that video remote interpreting, VRI, is when the deaf person and the hearing person are together. So that would not be a free service. That would be as if you needed to call somebody. So right now the answer is that we don't have so much volume that we need to be concerned, but we have heard that there will be certain cycles that we'll need to be aware of.
Questions yet?
Yes, I've heard that there are a lot of attempts which are going on to like automate this kind of interpretation, like using artificial reality gloves and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question.
So I was just wondering what's the status of that.
Sure. The question was about. There's a lot of attempts to automate the sign language. I imagine the sign language interpreting aspect with using certain types of gloves and so on. There are attempts. The University of Washington in Seattle had a research program for a while. I know now I don't know the exact companies, but with regards to using gestures and the Connect system, that there are some attempts. I think they're still in the very beginning stages. It's probably something that eventually will happen. But also at the same point, I want to say that sign language, American Sign Language, is a very distinct language from English. It involves simultaneous use of the eyebrows and the face and the body and the arms, and there's a lot of information that can be passed on, and that would probably take a long, long time for, to be able to, I guess, capture all that, and let alone have it even be like a separate device other than a human being. Just something that probably will happen at some point. Any other questions?
All right. Okay. Good to go? All right, good job.
And I did promise you a joke. Before I mention that, I just wanted to say, with regards to my own business, Clearview Innovations, basically what we've done is been able to allow quick removal of the device, attach it onto different things. Also, there's a way that even with your smartphone, you can remove it very quickly from here. At the end, I'll put some of these devices out in the hallway so you can look at them. And the joke, okay. So I used to live and work in Russia for a period of time, so there are a lot of good jokes, particularly during the Soviet days. But as a lot of here in the U.S., I know a lot of people complain about Washington ordering things, but in Russia it was all about Moscow. So out in Irkutsk in Way, Siberia, they got an order that they have to start to use computers in the school, in the class. So one day the teacher came into class and said, "Guess what, students? We have something new." So they said, "What?" And he went out in the hallway and he got this big box. And there was a computer inside. And he put it on the table and said, "Okay, kids, how many computers do we have?" And they said, "One," or "Adin" in Russian. He got another one and put it on the table and said, "Dva," 2. And then put another one on the table and stacked it up. And they said, 3. And he said, "Isn't this great? Before we had computers, we used to count apples."
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling the Hearing and Speech Agency. A sign language...
I don't even know if it's going to work. It wasn't that slow before. Should we call him? Where do you go? Do you want to call him one?
Well, why don't you start talking now so we get this working?
What's that? Yeah.
Technical difficulties?
Yeah. So just at from a curiosity standpoint, I'm not a big PowerPoint guy, so I don't have any PowerPoint. But from a content marketing, if I said the term content marketing, just show of hands real quick, how many people are familiar with content marketing? Okay, very good. That's helpful. And if I said the word curation, I guess, from in the sense of content marketing, how many people would have a general idea what that is? Okay, that's very helpful as well. So essentially, content marketing, just a really super brief explanation, is basically says from a, content marketing has been around for a while, but as opposed to traditional kind of disruptive advertising or marketing, it basically says that if you provide something of value to the consumer from a content standpoint, that person is going to learn about you, you're going to educate them, you're going to become trusted with them as a business, as opposed to just hitting them with buy for me, buy for me, buy for me, and then over time you form a relationship with them, and ultimately they would buy from you, hopefully. So from a software perspective, we are a content marketing suite, an integrated tool set that is designed to help you create, curate, and distribute your content faster, cheaper, and more effectively. And then, of course, measure the results. So the three main places that we do that over are blogging, email newsletters, and social media are the main things. So, good to go? I think so. All right. We're gonna do our best with what we can.
I switched to Safari, so maybe I was doing
yeah.
better.
What's that?
I switched to Safari, so that was doing better.
Okay.
If you want to do the blog, do that other tab there.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. That's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Is anybody actually executing content marketing, what they would say, for their business, you think? Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to do a really high-level demo. This is pretty much our MVP, or slightly past it. Let me go ahead and log in here. All right, so this is the main screen that you would actually see when you logged into the system. And again, we're actually coming out with a new, completely new, not new system, but brand new overhaul with all new features and better stuff. But just to give you an idea, usually when I demo this, I actually start down here on what we call the topics tab, and define this terminology very quickly, and then show you how you would actually execute when you come up to these particular tabs and would utilize this tool suite. So a topic is basically synonymous with subject matter. Any information that you wanted to create content on or curate on would be considered a topic. And a client is synonymous with a customer. So actually, if you were an agency that wanted to do this on behalf of multiple customers, you would have the ability to do that from the same system. I actually do my own stuff in here. So I'll just, to give you an idea, if you had a topic, my topic was inbound marketing, you would create the topic, give it a description, associate it with the client that you want, and then share it with any of your team members or the client themselves. The second thing that you do, which is probably the most important, you would be select what you consider to be good content, whether or not it's your own content or anything that's out there on the web. So from blogs, in terms of keyword streams, whether it's PowerPoint, we try to stay in the B2B realm because we're a professional grade tool. But this is where you would essentially choose and pick what you consider to be good content. The third thing that you would do if you were using that aspect of it would be to hook in any social accounts that you have. Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook is what we have right now. And then the last thing that you would do is hook in any publishing accounts. So whatever your blog was, whether it was WordPress, HubSpot, your email, and you can always export to HTML. So if you can think about this conceptually, once you've set up the system, you have your clients, you have your topics, you have your users, and all your content flowing in, and you've hooked in all your accounts, you're now managing everything from one login and log out. So you can execute, literally you could execute content marketing for 10 different clients with 50 different accounts that they have. So give you an idea of how that might work or what you might do. If you were an agency, you might say, okay, my client's Andy Detweiler, and the topic that I want to curate on or write on is inbound marketing. And when I do that, whatever I consider to be good content is going to automatically flow into the system for me. So I won't get into the weeds from a workflow standpoint. But basically, what you might do is, review the article. If you just wanted to kind of review from the beginning, or excuse me, curate from the beginning, you can just drag it over, add your commentary at the top, of course. You would want to follow, best practices for everything that you're doing. Change your title. You could even have a, a call to action in the system and drag that over. And then when you go to publish, essentially whatever you've hooked in as your accounts, you're going to have the opportunity to publish directly to that CMS system. So part of what makes this an actual B2B solution is that when you create your content or curate it and you publish it, that information is going to live directly within your CMS. So any SEO benefit that you're going to have, however you want it to be branded and what you want it to look like on the other end, you're going to have the ability to do that, as opposed to a social media tool that's pushing you to a third-party site. So that's blogging and publishing, and of course, you can just take a snippet. You can, there's all different kinds of things that you can do that really allow you to customize this process, as opposed to just, again, a social media tool. From a social sharing standpoint, it's similar to Hootsuite in some regards. People always bring up Hootsuite. A little bit of a differentiator here. Again, you can see whatever we've hooked in from an account standpoint, that's already going to be there for us. So if we wanted to share individually, you could just click on the article and you could add whatever content that you wanted to, whatever your commentary is. Or if you wanted to do what we call a bulk share, you could select all the articles there, and you can see where it says schedule. If I hit schedule, you can select the time that you want, and if I hit this, it would fly on the calendar, and then you can drag them around and add whatever commentary that you want to add. The last thing from a newsletter perspective, it's very similar to the publishing, where you really start to see, I believe, the power of the system from a distribution standpoint is we always recommend that people route back in their own feed. So you can see here's my own blog now. So if I want to do a quick newsletter at the end of the week, maybe I just come over, I pull over the article that I wrote, and here's two other articles that I think might be might be valuable to my audience, and I would just again pull those over, and really quickly I can publish to wherever I want to publish or send that off. So that from a high level is I would say a demonstration of the system. One or two quick things in terms of what we have coming next. We have, you're going to see an analytics tab here, so we can, again, we can track what's performing and what's not. You're going to see an editorial calendar that people will be able to select. We're going to have templates that will just basically take all this and make it all even that much easier for folks. And then, of course, we're going to integrate, you can tell by the setup, we can, when we go to our new platform, it'll be easier to, anything from, Google Plus to Joomla, we can integrate really quickly. So we're going to blow up our integrations in terms of what we have. The differentiators are differentiators. Well, instead of telling you, kind of getting into that, I'll just kind of open it up for questions. And
good job. All right, good job. Actually, did more time really So all the way back first, and then come and say, yep.
Yeah. Agglomerate video content as well.
Yeah, so that would be the plan. So you can see the setup that we have basically, and where we see this is basically, again, an integrated tool suite, to where you're going to be able to, you can select whatever you want and use that particular tool. So as opposed to spending, $1,000 a month on a full-blown, content marketing tool, if you just want video, you're going to be able to pick that and just do video. So that, ultimately we would see that as part of it one day.
Speaking of $1,000 a month, what's pricing like for video?
So for the moment now, we have it priced at retail at $50 a month per module. So social $50 a month, newsletter $50 a month. We're still kind of playing around with it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Matt?
And, so where are you at in your growth cycle of your startup? Like, do you have beta customers, or are you full-blown commercially viable product?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm one of the co-founders, and we bootstrapped everything. So we actually went through our beta process. We had our first couple of paid customers. The mistake that we made, like I said, is we kind of tried to be an enterprise, solution. So that sent us down the enterprise path, and we didn't really have the resources or the staff to be an enterprise company. But we still have the product. So that's kind of where we are. Is we're going to the next. We're coming out with our next version. And then we didn't offer a free trial before because the thought process was, well, if you're going to spend a couple $100 a month and you actually have to do 30 minutes to an hour of work and train your staff, then a free trial is not really going to do anything for you. You're going to do it or you're not. So now we're going a different route from our model where we're going to be able to offer just, again, simplified, free trial, whatever you want, whatever piece you want. And then, hopefully really start ramping up convert. So that's kind of where we're at. We've sold it. We feel like we validated it, but we don't really have a terrible amount of traction.
Yeah, over there. Yep.
Who are you comparing your other competitors in the market?
Yeah. So competitors, I guess you would say, I'm not sure how familiar everybody is, like a Curata or a Publish This or a Trapit would be kind of a competitor from a functionality standpoint, but again, they really target the enterprise market. And then you could argue that like a Hootsuite or a Scoopit is a competitor as well, but again, they're kind of more social media tools, or they solve one piece of the what we consider to be one piece of the puzzle.
Question for that? Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so I found a nice article or something and I want to move it as content into my site and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know if there's copyrights on that? They don't want that article or stuff on my site.
Right, good question. So everything the system's set up with, basically, it follows what we call fair use laws. So from an attribution standpoint, like if somebody has a website, they can control on their end what goes out to everybody. And so long as you're giving the proper attribution, obviously the goal isn't like, hey, steal somebody's content, pass it off as your own. As long as you're giving the proper attribution and in a blogging sense, adding value to it, you're attributing and you're linking back to them. If you're doing it properly, you're doing nothing but helping them. So we've never really even seen it to where somebody has asked somebody not to do that. If they did, then our recommendation would be like, okay, well, that person for whatever reason they don't want you to do that. But you're not taking their entire article. You're taking a snippet of it. And again, adding, at least in the blogging sense, you're adding your value to it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody here kind of doing any marketing and generating a lot of content?
Positive. The world isn't always positive.
Yeah. You're correct. I mean,
so I may grab an article on my competitor's site and see this junk he sells you. This is why
you could definitely do that, but then you maybe.
I mean, you can. There's
at your own peril.
The internet is the wild west. I'm sure we know. There's all kinds of things you can do with the internet.
Yep. Okay, any other questions, thoughts? We have some marketing folks here, so this is kind of interesting. I know we generate a lot of content. Sorry we spam you a lot, but we're working on that. Maybe we can find some easier.
Oh, and one thing I just
it can be very labor intensive.
Yeah, I was wanting to say is if anybody we're looking to work with folks. So designer, marketing, if anybody's looking to try to get involved with something like this, please talk to me. We'd love to.
Okay. All right, moving right along here. We got one more. I know, kind of running a little long. Can I go things up?
So I'll tell you, if you can just give us 10 minutes and we'll be done. And we appreciate you being here.
7 minutes.
My name is Rick Sir, and I'm with AuthentikTime, and this is Rick Tain. And while he is speaking, I'm going to be passing around the biometric key that we're talking about. By the time it comes up and back, we'll be done. So, Sherry, let's just share it with me. And our first presenter talked about identity and verification. We're taking biometrics, which has been the gold standard of identity, and taking it off the wall from a server-based system and putting it in the hands of every employee. So this system has a lot of steam, it has a lot of legs, and it's going to happen. Please.
Okay, thanks, Rick. I showed up this morning and met Ron for the first time. I had a big old PowerPoint presentation. It was going to be PowerPoint by death, and he said, no. Please bear with me. I have one slide, and I'm going to do my best to kind of talk around all the other slides, but you'll only be looking at one slide. So if you give me the opportunity, as Rick said, the space we're going to be working in is within the time and attendance space. And I'd like first to review some facts within that space and some trends within that space, and that will help frame our solution. So there's 154 million workers in the US today. Of those 154 million, 75.5 million of them are paid on an hourly basis. Fact number one. 40% of all companies do not track their employees' work hours. Fact number two. This is the big one. Billions of dollars are lost on an annual basis due to buddy punching, and these are people that have a system, but as I punch in, I might have my buddy's key, and I punch in for my buddy, I'm going to get paid, but also my buddy's going to get paid. Other factors for revenues being lost is inaccurate supervisory discretion and unauthorized overtime. So there's a big problem out there with regards to funds being lost due to deceit. To kind of break that down to a simplistic, take a $12 an hour employee that might have a $20 an hour burden to the company. If that employee steals 1 hour a week, that's $1,000 off the bottom line to a small business. So that's a real minuscule example. Right now we're talking to a company in Austin, Texas that has 320 employees. Their weekly payroll is $200,000. The owner of the company is telling us that he's losing about $20,000 a week based on one of those 4 factors that we went through with regards to buddy punching or inaccurate supervisory discretion or unauthorized overtime. So it's a real problem. In 2009, 34 million workers were telecommuting. By 2016, 63 million workers will be telecommuting. So the mobile and remote workforce is definitely here to stay. That's a trend that's coming like a freight train. And then on top of that, companies are encouraging their mobile and remote workforce to adapt the BYOD, bring your own device to work methodology. That's a trend that's here to stay. So biometrics, and does everyone know what biometrics is? Biometrics essentially will authenticate one's identity through a fingerprint. As simple as that. So biometrics is recognized as the gold standard for time and attendance systems today. But most biometric systems, all biometric systems, are server-based. None of them are cloud-based. And most biometric systems today are way too costly for small businesses out there. Okay? So current biometric systems basically have a touchpad. Here's one of my slides. I'm not going to show you, so I'm going to. So it has a touchpad. Someone would swipe in. Their fingerprint is now being sent to a server, and that server is tethered to the touchpad. Okay? The server will authenticate the person's identity, and in essence, it works great. It solves the challenges that we just discussed, but it's very expensive, and it's not practical for mobile and remote employees, which is coming on like a freight train. Not practical from a cost standpoint with companies with multiple locations, and obviously not practical for those small businesses that might be employing 1 to 10, 1 to 50 employees. So current biometrics works great, but there's a lot of opportunities where it's not working so well. So, with some patience, we get to our system. So, our solution will authenticate the who, the when, and the where, regardless of location. So it becomes a solution for the remote and the mobile workforce. It becomes a solution for companies with multiple locations, and it basically will work for companies of all sizes. So per the graphic, I would swipe my fingerprint on my biometric key. Now, this is a prototype key here that can be worn on a lanyard. We also are working on more of a credit card size key that would store the information as well. After the swipe of the key, a Bluetooth signal is sent to my device. And my device could be my cell phone, it could be a tablet, or it can be a computer. So we have developed an app that resides on your device. And once that signal has been received by the device will now patch through to our administrative portal. And the administrative website will verify the serial number of the device and create a timestamp of the who, the when, and the where into our database. Okay? The administrative portal will also provide for customized customers' business rules. Every client out there has specific business rules that they need to adapt to. They might have a hierarchy with regards to management, and you have multiple supervisors, so we can work within that hierarchy. They might need to track job costing. They might have to track tips coming in. So there's a lot of business rules that we can customize onto our administrative portal so that we have the ability, the customer has the ability to be able to create workforce management from our portal. The portal will also allow for real-time access into the database for workforce management. And then after a pay period, we will be able to generate reports that can be delivered and merged to the customer's payroll system. Okay? So to summarize our results to date, you know, we're reaching out to local companies, and we have some local companies that are using our web-only version of the tool. We have some local companies that have agreed to be beta test sites for the biometric system of it. We should be ready to be in beta test hopefully by the end of this month. And so we're very much counting on local company support. My role in a sales capacity is to go after some of the larger payroll processors. And we've had very substantive conversations with companies like AEDC, who obviously have tens of thousands of customers in a very short period of time, literally less than a month. They have brought us a half dozen different customers, all with remote workers where they're losing, i.e. that customer in Austin, Texas that has 320 employees, and there's basically $20,000 being lost per week going out the back door. And the cost of our system basically is the cost of the keys, it's the software, which are all bundled in an installation package, it's a monthly usage fee, and it's an annual service contract. But you take all that collectively, it's going to be, it will pay for itself with most customers probably within a 90-day maximum period.
And that's huge, 90 days. And take what Rick said earlier in terms of losing $1,000 per year per employee. So if you have 5 employees, our system is going to be $2,500. So you're indeed going to get a return on investment within 3 months' time. And this system, it's not us telling us, we're not telling ourselves there's a need for this product. The industry is telling us. ADP came to us at a show in November, and they said, we need your product. And I said, excuse me, I need my product too. But she said, no, I need your product because we have people in the oil wells. We need to find out who they are and where they are and what time they checked in. And do you know biometrics has been around for over 100 years. There is not a system like this out here. We have patented technology, and we are delighted and surprised and blessed because we have so many people interested in the system. So this is going to take off in March. We will do a live demo. We'll pre-enroll some folks out here so you can see how it works. So I thank you and we thank you.
That's good. Cool. Good job. Good job. So let's open this up. If I may take a moderator privilege here, if you're using the phone, I would imagine then that you could tie the location of the individual to where they're signing.
The who, the when, and the where. So it does have GPS.
So if they're doing
coordinates.
remote work and they're not like, you know, out in, well, not to say that they can't be on a beach somewhere, but you would know that when they checked in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, consider the oil well.
Or the
We
oil
know
well.
who you are, where you are, and what time you checked in.
Okay,
So
Matt,
it's
and then go back that way. Yep.
So you're using Bluetooth to send from the device to the thing?
To the tablet.
So one, are you sending a person like a converted, I guess, the fingerprint, or are you sending a signal to the device? And can other people pick that up? Is that an encrypted signal?
Honestly, that's a very good question. Do you mind if I answer this?
Please do.
Okay. So if you look at the device, where's the device? Yeah, the device, the biometrics, what's unique about our patented technology is that the device, the biometrics, the algorithm resides on this device. So there's no biometric transfer. You authenticate on this device, the Bluetooth signal is generated, it goes to through the app to our website, we verify that it is an active device and that you're an active employee, and only then can you be punched in. And it's instantaneous. Good question.
Okay, yes, there, and then that, yep.
Do you use Bluetooth to multiple devices?
Yes.
In other words, you sync to whatever device is. Who chooses to sync to the device?
Yeah, it's what on the app we have what we call universal pairing, where that app allows pairing with any one of our specific devices. So as a Bluetooth is recognized, if it is this device, it is paired with that with the cell phone.
So who gives the approval for that device?
Oh, and your employer does, and the employer puts the app on the phones that he or she wants it. So it's a control basis that way.
Part of our system includes an enrollment software. So there's an enrollment process where the administrator will enroll the employees. Yes.
Yeah.
How are you raising capital for the funding that's moving forward? Are you bootstrapping everything? Have you had venture capital? Like how do you raise money to get this far?
Oh, that's a good question, and it's ongoing, and it is working. We have we're in development, so it's a different deal. But this system
We're still looking.
Yeah,
they're in the active right.
So it's working. So please.
That's good. Question back to. I would imagine they're talking to ADP. They got some pretty deep pockets. So
the audience is huge for this.
They may want to go a different direction with that. Let's go in the back there and they'll go there. Yep.
Is this contingent upon every employee having a smartphone?
Oh no, it doesn't. See, it works with any smartphone. So your manager can have a smartphone. You can go up to any tablet or pad, or you can go up to any computer to log in with Bluetooth technology. So the advantage is we're logging into any cell phone with our app in it. So you might not need a phone. Your supervisor might need a phone, but a computer has a Bluetooth technology. So anywhere, anytime.
Well, what's interesting is one of the ADP clients that they put us in front of is DC United, and it's the concessionaires for DC United. So at any given event, they might have 100 folks working in there. So they are going to all have keys, but there's only going to be 4 tablets, or maybe it's only 3 tablets, and the supervisors own the tablets. Okay, so there's really only 3 apps that are going to be in play. As the employees swipe their key, then the supervisor kind of controls what's going on in the tablet.
Matt, can I say something? That installation is kind of neat because what they need is this. The employees need to be biometric because they're the concessionaires, and the concessionaire gets a T-shirt with the number on it. So when an employee checks in for work, he gets a T-shirt 222. And when he signs out, he biometrically authenticates and then goes on the tablet, have you checked in your T-shirt? And if it's yes, you check out. If not, you're not able to check out. So again, they're using biometrics to not save the T-shirts, but save the people from stealing the T-shirts or people acting like concessionaires. So it isn't a security issue.
So it's a business rule that I mentioned.
Okay, so checking it out, that has to go back there and then go there. Mike?
How does it integrate with third-party software, like QuickBooks and Project Management?
That's a very good. The question is, how is it integrated with third-party software? Most payroll processors now will we'll use a Excel or CSV file to dump over, but we're working with ADP, and they're building an interface for us. And a larger company will allow us to build an interface. Every third-party time and attendance system has access to the back end or the payroll reporting, and that's almost a par for the course if you're a wholesaler or a...
So there's an open API for developers to tie into.
Okay, Michael? Yeah.
And we currently use the RSA security IDs for payroll. So you have to type in a 6 or 7 digit number to authenticate. Would this be a replacement for that technology or supplement?
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. It's a replacement, and that's the only direct competition we have is that kind of challenge.
So Michael, might as well, because he's with South River Tech, so you're the sponsor I was looking for. So so you're in the security space.
So we are.
And
it's growing every day, and people are faking their way into systems.
Yeah.
They're going through back doors. So true authentication, where you can validate whether it's through a security ID or authentication.
So how would this improve or differentiate? How would this impact what you're doing? Maybe you can tell us what you're doing because you're a sponsor, so you might as well say.
Sure. Hey, I'm Michael Ryan. We have a software company here in Annapolis, South River Technologies, and we develop software that allows companies to securely exchange data and share files over the internet. So, good way to say this, we do Dropbox for business, and part of the thing that we do is that you sit down at a computer, you have these hardware authentication tokens that validate that you really are the person who has this information. You need it nowadays.
So do we have validation?
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a spot for the RSA system, but that would not work for someone on an oil rig. So there's those companies where we're going to be the only solution for us. So we can coexist for that.
Yeah, Alex?
So quick question, is this double question? Is this a true biometrics test? Will it know if it's me or if it's Max?
I have an identical twin brother, okay? And the swirl on your fingerprint is when you're an identical twin, it is the one print that is most like another. And Steve cannot sign in for me. So yes, it's true. It's true biometrics because we retain not the biometrics but the algorithm, and so it's kind of neat. And a quick question: you have convenience mode, medium mode, and high security mode. So you can set this up if you're doing time attendance. You want to validate, you want to verify. You don't need to validate. So you can swipe a person, and if enough pixels match, that's checked. Or you can have deep security, where almost every one of those dots has got to match the dot on the algorithm. Does that answer your question?
It does, but and to follow up that question, so you need a smartphone potentially. Somebody around the area needs a smartphone. If it's somebody that's managing themselves and there's no managers, what you're trying to validate is the person that is a certain place at a certain time. Yeah. Currently, all smartphones, I know where my son is at any moment, at any time, because of the smartphone that he has on. So what is the benefit of having some extra tool to swipe or touch to then send a message to then validate that this person is a certain place?
Okay, because you're talking about a phone-specific location. We're not talking about a phone-specific location. We're talking about people who are on the road, traveling mobilely, home health care workers, people working on the oil well, people working for Diversified Interiors, 320 employees with 320 jobs. We're not phone specific. We are employee specific. So it is, and so we're matching the employee to that phone, the location of the phone, not his or her phone.
Right, but just to confirm, there needs to be some kind of signal sent, and to send a signal, you need some kind of device.
Yes, yeah. Any web-able device works because we swipe your finger, we validate who you are, and the cloud validates that this is indeed a...
We'll do two more and then we'll wrap up.
And just to add on, the other benefit is that our database gets pinged from the device and all the information is loaded onto the database.
Okay, Andy first, and then we'll just do two more. Okay, Andy, yep?
Yeah, so you keep using the oil rig as an example, and I can understand how obviously that would show that somebody was there, but isn't the real issue whether or not somebody's working? Like, how do you justify it from an ROI standpoint, like, regardless of whether or not somebody's there, like, who cares?
Good, that's a good question. If you have, how many of us have a business, a small business? How many of us have employees? How many of us have hourly employees? Time theft is a huge problem. If you're an employee and you steal 1 hour a week, either through buddy punching, either through unauthorized overtime or management discretion, you're going to cost your employer an hour, $1,000 a year. That's huge. I mean, your burden is not only your payroll, but the benefits associated with it. Biometrics were designed in 1858 in the time and attendance world. So time and attendance has always been focused on making sure you are who you say you are. This is the only system that has access to 2.2 million companies with under 100 employees. And that's a valid argument, but I'll tell you what, if you're paying your employee, you want to be sure they're there, then at least they can start working.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, if somebody's unethical enough that they would not show up and clock out, what's to say that they wouldn't just swipe it and then sit down and you still have the same problem?
Then that's a supervisory deal. I wish I could answer that.
Yeah.
That question.
They can just say they're there. They just can't say what they're doing while they're there.
Right.
So.
We can't do much.
Right.
Yeah. Our next product is putting a video on the computer.
Right. So we'll be monitoring.
Surveillance.
Sign me up.
Okay, and last question of the event. There you go.
So it seems that it's another layer of security basically that's being added into the situation, and it establishes uniqueness.
All right. Okay, well, excellent job. Good job. So, I would say, first of all, let's all give all the presenters a great warm welcome. I know we had some demo challenges, but IdentityCheckpoint, B2B HASA VRI, AuthentikTime, and HD scores as well. I'm always leaving the best for last, Matt. So a big thank you. It takes a lot of work to get up there and demo and be in front of everybody and do the challenging thing. Another big thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us be here. Great layout and everything. So thank you very much to those guys. And then of course the big thank you to all of you, because if not, this would be a bunch of us just presenting to an empty room. So I would say if this is your first time, keep coming. Tech Breakfast, as I mentioned, is all over this region. Love to have you in Baltimore, Columbia, Northern Virginia, DC. We're going to be back here once a quarter. I think this is a great place. Looks like there's a great audience. So looks like there's a lot of enthusiasm for Annapolis, which is great. You may hear something about Frederick. I'm going to pre-announce that. We'll do that in a little bit. And yes, I know. And so I would just say, if you're doing awesome stuff, we're always looking for great presenters. If you're interested in presenting here, let us know. I don't know if I got anything else. I'm looking at Alex here.
Right now you're good.
Okay, good. All right. Awesome. Okay, well, keep coming. Do awesome stuff. See you at the next one.